Whoops. Anyway, greetings and welcome. I'm going to start now. Greetings and welcome. My name is Jake Rayson. I'm a forest gardener and forest garden designer, and I am staring right into the sun. Bright day, slight breeze. And today I'm planting an apple tree. Ow! And I've got the pre-vegan chickens are out, aren't you? Yeah, let's get on with it. A couple of things I was going to talk about actually. Firstly was so this is the compost area. It's kind of slow compost. I use it for the annuals beds, but still use a fair bit because we do tomatoes and peppers and chilies. Yeah, there we go. And this is the forest garden in a bucket, the miniature forest garden, which is done remarkably well. I am very happy with it. It has got dwarf comfrey here and ochre as a ground cover, and then this here is Taiwanese raspberry. There's a couple of different names for it. Rubus rolfii is a synonym, but the actual name, I think it's a Japanese name. I need to check. I need to remember it. Anyway, low growing evergreen, kind of quite handy. And this is ochre, which has got tubers which need digging up before the first frost, which is imminent. And I can let this area. This is going to be wood chipped now, and then ground ivy here, and it's all going a bit scruffy. There's a bit of ground ivy. There's creeping buttercup. But I'm just going to let it do its thing, actually. We've got rhubarb, so the rhubarb's all died down. I've got a job on at the moment, actually, so I'm going to be using ground ivy. But the trouble is, this is kind of it kind of gets a little bit tatty. It looks very tatty and it dies back. So I'll probably combine it with something that looks slightly less tatty, but still quite tatty. They're strawberries. So they die back, and they're a little bit evergreen. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. See what's available. Anyway, what was I doing? I was going to go and get this apple tree. So I had an experiment. Like everything in gardening is an experiment. I had an experiment, and the experiment was my friend Martin gave us a couple of apple trees, and I tried planting it. I planted one apple tree here. It's on a dwarfing rootstock. No idea. He doesn't know what the variety is, and it's done really, really, really well. So I popped that there. Brilliant. Loves it. Put the other one in the forest garden pot. And it loves it loves it there as well. So it's doing very well. It's a tree in a pot, but that's done very, very well. But the other one I put on a mound, and this is a kind of undeveloped area down here, which will eventually be a herb garden. I put it on the mound there where that geranium is, and it did really, really badly. I think because the soil's quite poor and it didn't get enough water. So it's kind of interesting. What happens now, it's so fascinating what happens with different ground covers. So this is a geranium, there's an oak tree there, and then there's Stellaria graminea, which is lesser stitchwort, and that's kind of doing really well. I mean, totally accidental. Not too sure about the geranium. I guess it's a meadow cranesbill. Not 100% sure. But anyway, the apple tree didn't do very well, so I put it over here, and it died. Poor thing. It didn't survive. Now the way that you can tell whether an apple tree, I have to do this one-handed. Whoa! Hi Pam. The way that you can tell whether an apple tree survives or is alive or not, this just goes through any plant with bark, is you scrape it and scrape the bark away, and if it's green, then it's alive. If it's brown, then it's dead. And that's kind of a bit green down there, but that's brown there, so it's dead. I'm not gonna pretend. There's bits of alive, but it's kind of really much on the way out. So I gotta get rid of that. I'll pop it on the. There we go. See, no root structure. Maybe a little bit alive. I don't know. I'm going to give up. There's large dead bits everywhere. It's not worth bothering with. Yeah, I'll pop this on the. I've got dead hedges. I've got more dead hedges everywhere. So what I'll do, I'll pop this up on the dead hedge here. Lots of dead hedging to do. So I've got new dead hedges everywhere. You can see the posts sticking up, and I'm weaving dead hedges. So stuff like that, material like that, you can pop on a dead hedge. Bramble, cuttings, big branches actually. The whole lot you can put on. So there we go. That was easy. And then I saw a tree a few months ago in a pot down at the local nursery, and I think it was £10 or something. And I went, oh, I must get it. I want another apple tree. And this is something that you should never do. You should never buy it's a patio fruit tree apple, it says. So I'm guessing it's a dwarfing rootstock. There are, oh goodness me. The dwarfing roots, M26, I think, or was it M9? Can't remember which one's which. But there's dwarfing, very dwarfing, different rootstocks. Be sure you know which rootstock you've got before planting a tree. If I planted this on a M25, no, hold on. Is it MM106? Say I planted it on MM106. You got it. I can never remember the names of the different rootstocks. That was to be about 4 meters by 4 meters, so that would grow. If I planted that here, for example, and if you can see, it would go up and up and up, and it go all the way up to there, up to where that blackthorn is in the hedge, which is coming down. So it'd go all the way up there, and then this is the polytunnel. There'd be a tree here casting shade onto the polytunnel, so you don't want that. This is going to go to about 2 meters, so that's okay. That's doable. And the same with that tree there. That's a small one. So I've got a couple of little ones here. That's the idea. So yeah, always choose the right sized tree for the right place. Make sure you know what the rootstock is. Otherwise, things will grow and they'll get too big, and it's a load of bother later on. Whoa, let's get that. Try not to disconnect like I did last time. Okay, so I've got my tools here. Let me see if I can pick this up. So I've got my tools. The tree digging spade, absolutely invaluable. Obviously, I plant a lot of trees, so I use that all the time. There's a stake, a homemade stake, a tree tie. If you're going to get a tree tie, get a decent one. I got cheap ones when I first started, and they just no use at all. This is kind of a thick, rubbery material. I've got a couple of nails and some hammers and stuff. So because it's a dwarfing rootstock, here we go, you're going to start to get a little bit controversial already. Because it's a dwarfing rootstock, it needs to be staked, because the rootstock determines the height and the size of the final height and the final size of the tree, and its vigour as well, which means that it's not particularly vigorous rootstock, which means it's not very well anchored into the ground, so it needs to be staked. If you plant something that isn't a dwarfing rootstock, so for example, can't try to remember the names of them, Kirschenschala or pear, Pyrrhus communis, like a native pear rootstock, or which one? Quincy, can't remember. Big rootstock, MM106. All the big rootstocks, you do not need to stake the tree, unless it's a big plant when it gets planted. It's it's more than a couple of years old, or it's a very exposed situation. So yeah, don't need to stake trees. You don't need to stake trees when you plant them, unless it's a very exposed situation, or unless it's a dwarfing rootstock. Okay, so those are the two reasons for doing it. Or it's a big plant it's a big tree when you put it in. With fruit trees,